Hello, my name is Fernando Garcia. Thank you guys so much for coming here to my presentation on how to add a new soccer program, boys soccer program, here at our Columbia Public School High School. So here we go. So the itinerary for today, we're going to introduce something a little bit about how I got this information, what to expect for the program, why I picked soccer, what we already have, and what we need, and the finances. I know that is going to be the big topic for today, all the financial situation and how much it's going to cost. So, the introduction, I interviewed the Rockbridge High School soccer coach, Coach Scott Whitmore, and he told me about how much they spent each year on different types of stuff like jerseys, travel, officials, equipment, and all that stuff. Um, why we picked soccer? Or a little bit about soccer is that it's been super fast growing, and it is really all because of the U.S. men's national team and how they kind of started making it's their way to more World Cup or more bigger tournaments. Except for this year, we won't talk about this past year, and of course the women's national team winning multiple World Cups. Also the MLS, I think ever since David Beckham came to the scene back in 2010, uh, he really kind of put MLS on the map. Now you have a lot of big name players coming from Europe to the MLS, and now you have a lot of good players coming through the MLS as well. Um, Adding a boys soccer program have will give kids more opportunity to be involved. There's been numerous studies saying that the more involved they are in extracurricular activities, the better they will do later on in life, making sure that we teach them the proper ways to study and time manage and all of that stuff. And just so you guys know, soccer is played in the fall, and it is a sport recognized by MISHA, the Missouri State High School as Activities Association. So what my expectations are for this program, excellent standards. We want to make sure that the coaches are able to teach the young adults, the student athletes, to do proper time management, proper study skills, making sure that their goals and aspirations of going and playing, hopefully, or just even going to the next level, secondary school, and making sure that their grades are up, making sure that we are also building good character, making sure that the kids act appropriately or accordingly, depending on the situations, good sports management or good sportsmanship, and then just hoping that they have an awesome experience. This is mainly going to be for the kids that are a little bit smaller, and their parents won't let them play football, or B, they want something a little bit more exciting than, let's say, golf, but not so high intense as a sport like football. I wanted to create a competitive culture. I understand we're not going to win. That there are years where we're going to win. I understand that there's going to be years where it's going to be a little bit tougher to win just because of the talent that we get being in mid Missouri. I just don't want it to be a program that we're always begging kids to join the team or have low numbers, or that it's just historically known for just an easy win to other schools. I want to win state championships, of course, but sometimes it's going to be tough. So I just want people to be in the program and be competitive, have fun with it, and just making sure that we're competing against all other high schools. And obviously, I want to see the program grow. Of course, obviously, at the beginning, we're not going to see a whole bunch of growth just because, or the, yeah, no, we're not going to see a whole bunch of growth just because it's going to be a brand new program. But over the years, I would like this program to continue growing. So potential participation, why we choose Soccer. Like I said, it is a growing popularity of sport nationwide. I even would say that it is one of the fastest growing sports. I feel like there are sports or soccer teams everywhere, especially now with the World Cup hype. Hopefully, some people kind of got to see a little bit more soccer and we're a little bit more interested. There's also been a decline in numbers in football just because parents don't want their kids playing football just because of the whole concussion ordeal that's been going on the past couple of years. And video games. A lot of our kids play video games, and a lot of our kids play the FIFA soccer game. Uh, I'm sure the numbers are down because Fortnite's taken over, but so far the FIFA has been one of the better EA games that a lot of people across sports have played. We also have we have three professional soccer teams nearby. We have two in Kansas City called the Sporting Kansas City, that is an MLS team. We also have the Swope Park Rangers, which is the affiliate to Sporting, and then St. Louis FC. And those two are in the USL League, which is your second tier, but it's still professional nonetheless. And then here in Colombia, we have multiple club teams, one of them being Sporting Kansas City, or Sporting Colombia. The MLS team, Sporting Kansas City, actually runs a program here in Colombia called Sporting Colombia. We have Synergy, we have the Tamashi Club, and we have Carrera. So all of those, there's going to be a lot of kids playing soccer, and hopefully they can continue that on to their high school days. Being there's four club teams right here in Columbia, Missouri. What do we have? Interest. We already have the interest of a lot of kids, parents, and teachers. Obviously, I just showed you the thing with the club teams, so kids know how to play soccer. They've been playing soccer. We have an open field in the back out where our in the back of our school. We would just have to kind of modify a little bit for having a practice, and we already have a turf stadium. The only thing that we would have to do is just kind of do the resurfacing of it to make sure that there are soccer lines on the field as opposed to just football. We already have support from the community. We've reached out to many people out in the community, and they have all have given us really good feedback, saying that they are interested in having a soccer team here at this high school. And like I said earlier, teachers are already interested in coaching. And if not, me being a huge soccer fan, I am willing to coach for a year or two until we find a good fit for our coaching staff. That would be no problem. I'm really passionate about the sport, and I think it'd be really cool to have one here and be a part of starting it up. What do we need? We need participation. So we have done a lot of surveys, but no one has actually came out. Obviously, we haven't had any meetings yet, so we don't know exactly how many people we have, but we know for sure that we're going to have at least one varsity team. We're going to need a lot of equipment. But that's all relative. Soccer is very low maintenance, not a lot of equipment. Just like I mentioned before, the practice field, and then just budgeting for traveling, and officials. So costs. This is kind of what you guys are kind of waiting for. We would have to give a stipend to a head coach and an assistant coach, or a head coach and a JV coach. That'll be 6,000 and 4,000 about. Turf. So here is the cool thing about this is our turf field is up for resurfacing here in the next year or two. So we don't have to spend a whole bunch of money. We already have money set aside for a brand new turf. Turf is kind of old. It's been there for quite some time. So it would be the perfect timing to kind of piggyback off of that, and I'm sure it will cost a little bit more to do more lines for soccer, but that's not going to be strictly coming out of a new soccer budget, right? We already have it budgeted from the football, so we can split it however we need to. But that is a huge help that we have already had that budgeted in to our system for quite some time. Practice field. So this is one of the things that I asked Coach Witt about from Rockbridge, and they spent 11,000 to flatten, seed, and drain a practice field. But if you guys have ever been to Rockbridge, it is huge. We wouldn't even need that much or that much space to begin with, so we would definitely not be spending that much. We'd be spending probably ten or maybe $9,000 of that. Travel and officials. Same thing. I asked Coach Witt, and he says that they spend 12,000 every year. And coming out of my old school where I had to be in charge of basketball travel, we spent $8,000 on travel alone, just for 4 teams for varsity, JV, A and B teams for freshmen. So that is totally doable. That was 4 teams. I would expect us to have one, hopefully 2 teams, as opposed to the 4. So there's no way we're going to be spending 12,000 of that each year. Continuing into our smaller ticketed prices, equipment. So uniforms. If we get 20 uniforms, you can get them pretty cheap anywhere you go. And I would venture out to say $600. That is how much the girls paid, coming out from soccer.com. Pennies, about $80 balls. So the trick part about the balls is they're pretty expensive for the game balls, and just the regular practice balls would be fantastic. And there's usually 12 of them in a pack. So if we have one team, we would only need 12. And then since there's only 11 people on the field, so everybody can kind of have their own for at the beginning. And then a really nice set of 4 balls. That would bring it up to 250. We would need 2 nets for the goals so we can have a field. Then a lot of cones on one of our websites, soccer.com. You can get 100 cones for about $40. So you don't need anything more than that. The equipment, like I said, or the uniforms, I'm sorry, that is budgeting for about 20 people. And that is just the top and the bottoms. Every school, whenever I was playing and at Rockbridge, the kids buy their own socks, and they get to keep those. So they pay us money, we buy the socks in bulk, and then we give them to them, and they each get 2 uniforms, 2 shirts, 2 shorts, 2 socks. Like I said, we only need enough to field a team, and that is 11. So that is how many people we need. So that's what I've been saying, that we have for sure enough to at least start a varsity, and if not, we can also have a varsity and JV with some people playing both the JV and varsity minutes. The MISHA allows you to play 3 halves, so we would have to kind of reserve our better JV players to only play 1 half of JV, so they can play 2 halves of varsity, or we can have them play 2 halves of JV and then just be a sub for 1 half on the varsity side. So here's just a little bit, just everything set together. So I've added everything up. Right there it says $354,000 for 970 or $970. That again, it should not be that low. I would expect it to be about $10,000 cheaper. Just because for the turf it says $320,000, but that will not come out of the soccer budget. Uniform or travels and officials, and the practice field would also be a lot lower. So $354,970 is the absolute maximum number that we would pay as an upfront cost. Again, some of the benefits is that for maintenance, It would be minimal. There is little equipment. There's only goals, balls, cones, and pennies that you absolutely need. Later on, once we get going, then I'll do a wish list, and we can get some cool stuff. But the bare minimum, that's all we need. And we also, for the upkeep of the game field, it is already budgeted in with football. That will maybe drive up the price just a little bit because there's going to be a little bit more traffic, but not too much. There's probably going to be about 10 more games played on it, and no extra practices since football will be in the practice in their stadium, and soccer will have their own soccer practice field. So, yep, that is all of the costs. In conclusion, what are the next steps? We need to start the interviewing process. We need to start promoting, and we need to finalize the schedule. We also need to start doing some fundraising. So, like I said, the one-time cost up front is not going to be any more than that number you see there, 354,970. So we would have to start fundraising. Again, the turf isn't due for another year or two, so we can hold off for another year or two to get everything set up, and start fundraising to make these costs a little bit easier. We can do all sorts of fundraising. We can hold meetings and do fundraising, and that would also help to promote the team, and hopefully get some more interest from the kids. Interview process, we would start just interviewing people to be our coaches. Again, ideally we want two, and maybe we can get a volunteer assistant for a C team if there's enough, or we can have a volunteer assistant for the varsity squad. As far as promoting goes, again, fundraising would be huge because you are kind of getting out in the community to ask for money, and then that is promotion in itself. And then we'll start holding meetings throughout the school year, and we will open up a social media account and start blasting stuff on a new boys soccer social media account, as well as the existing athletic and existing high school accounts. And then the very last thing we would have to do is, once everything gets approved, I will work my hardest to get a schedule finalized. That will include 9 home games and about 8 or so away games, making sure that our kids get plenty of exposure and enjoy playing soccer with some games, as well as some tough competition. So that is it. That's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much for coming out here and listening to me talk about adding a boys soccer program. Again, I think this is very plausible. The interest is there. We don't have to spend that much time on a learning curve because a lot of our kids have been playing soccer with one of those 5 club teams. So there's going to be a lot easier to start into that competitive culture that I want. So thank you so much for coming out here, and we will see you guys again in my next meeting to follow up with this boys soccer. So thank you.